Stats SA data shows the average household income of white-headed households is almost 5 times that of black African-headed households and almost 3 times higher than that of colored-headed households. Income inequality is also highlighted, with households headed by those with tertiary education earning almost 6 times higher than those with primary education. Male-headed households earned significantly more than female-headed households.
The income for Gauteng and the Western Cape is higher than the national average, particularly that of the Western Cape. In as much as the expenditure patterns for the Western Cape are higher than those of Gauteng, and indeed Gauteng and Western Cape higher than the national average. But when you come and look at levels in terms of population group, you can see that the incomes of black South Africans are the lowest, lower than the national average. And indeed, when you look at the expenditure, you find that there's a very little gap that is left between income and expenditure, meaning that they have very little disposable income compared to the other population groups, particularly compared to the white population group, which has higher income and indeed higher expenditure levels, but with a wider gap, meaning that they have enough disposable income.
While disparities remain, the data shows there has been improvement in terms of income amongst previously disadvantaged individuals.
Unfortunately, one of the big messages that came across today is that we haven't actually made all that much progress economically over the last 17 years. Only a marginal improvement in living standards between 2006 and 2023, and in fact a decline in living standards since 2015. And the same disparities in terms of racial access to income and expenditure. And despite that, I mean, what we're seeing is a rising proportion of spending and income being accounted for by previously disadvantaged sections of the population. So clearly there is something that has been missing in terms of the country's economic strategy. One of the keys, of course, that wasn't actually represented here, but would have been to show the high correlation between educational achievements and the disparity of incomes between the different groups.
Stats SA has updated the basket of goods and services and weights of products in the Consumer Price Index, measuring consumer inflation based on the Income and Expenditure Survey. 71 new products enter the CPI basket, while 53 that consumers hardly spend money on are leaving the basket, used to measure price changes of consumer goods and services. There will be a total of 391 products and services that Stats SA traces to determine the rate of price changes. Gloria Sefako Musi, SABC News, Pretoria.